It's time now for the press review here on France 24. Joining me for a look at what's making headlines in French newspapers is our press reviewer, Caterina Vitozzi. Hello to you, Caterina.
Hello.
So a lot of the French papers today looking at the reason behind those recent riots in the north of France, in Amiens.
Yeah, absolutely. Le Parisien going really big on this story today. Looking a little bit more at the reasons behind these riots. Now, they've talked to a specialist on public behaviour and disorder. Now, he says there are two things. You've got to have the gunpowder, you know, the kind of the base reasons behind riots, and then something like a trigger. In this instance, he says the gunpowder is that this region is one of great poverty. There's a very high rate of youth unemployment, but also a good deal of sort of wealth disparity. You know, you've got these big regions of poverty, relative poverty, and then these areas where, you know, bigger houses, people, they're doing quite well for themselves. So he says that is the gunpowder, if you will. Now, the trigger, he says, are these allegations of the police being quite heavy-handed, you know, really cracking down on what some people say, you know, are just minor offences. But he says that in this instance could be the trigger for these riots.
And these spot checks as well that have got people quite annoyed, haven't
yes,
they?
Indeed. Now, the Libération, they followed the Interior Minister Manuel Valls to the region. They interviewed a mother and her young son, who in fact went in to have a small meeting with the Interior Minister, who kind of went there all guns blazing himself, saying, no, this is terrible, being very critical of these attacks on police. And in fact, this is something that the mother and the young son that Libération brought out of that interview. They say all he wanted to do was be critical about the attacks on police. They said that he didn't want to hear the reasons for these riots. He said he wasn't interested in hearing their side of the story. They said, you know, we were treated like animals by the police. They gassed us and they shot at us. So it's really a very much an unresolved issue.
What are the socialists' political opponents saying about this, the UMP party?
Oh, well, yes, the UMP party, Jean-François Copé, wasting no time to have a bit of a dig at the socialist government. He says they're far too lax in their approach to security. He says this is really an issue where it's not ideas, it's results that counts. So he says, you know, more firm, decisive action needed.
Now, there are two French footballers in the headlines today, and it's nothing to do with their skills on the pitch.
No, definitely not. This is Franck Ribéry and Karim Benzema, stars of the French football team, making headlines in Aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien. This is a long-running scandal that a lot of people might remember. Now, back in 2010, a prostitute by the name of Zahia said that she had had sex with the two footballers when she was underage, the age of 16. Now, both have always denied that they knew she was underage. And in fact, a Paris prosecutor said, you know, this case hasn't really got any legs. The girl herself said that they didn't know how young she was. But now the investigating magistrate wants the case brought back into court. He says that the players do have a case to answer. Legal teams of both sides still sticking by this line of, you know, she didn't know, they didn't know how young she was. The prostitute, as I said, says that they didn't know either. The paper also notes that she's now gone on to have a successful career at the age of 20, and she's recently launched a range of lingerie.
So it didn't go so badly for her in the end. Now, finally, we're going to take a look at the Catholic Church. It has a special message for parishioners today. It's a holiday here in France, isn't it? A religious holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. 15th of August in France. It's the Assumption of the Virgin Mary, so the day when the Virgin Mary ascended into heaven. The Libération picks up on the story of a message that the head of the Catholic Church wants to be delivered on this day. Normally, it's a chance for celebrants to eulogise a little bit on the importance of family. A different message. They want the church to stress their opposition to gay marriage, particularly gay adoption rights. So that'll be something discussed.
This hasn't gone down too well with gay rights groups, I'm sure.
Not too much, no.
Thank you very much, Caterina Vitozzi. That brings us to the end of this edition of In the Papers. Stay with us here on France 24.